are live from Jet Training Camp, and we are joined by the head coach beginning his third year as head coach of the New York Jets, Coach Robert Saleh. Coach, Joe and Evan, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
Coach, first of all, I got to ask you this. I know you haven't played golf, right? No golf since
I think I had
started?
one more round after I played with you. That was it.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. So,
How was Joe's golf game, by the way? Can you give me a scouting report?
You know what? What I took away from it is the genuine love and appreciation he has for his wife. And I appreciate that.
How about that?
Yeah, no, he did. You did text me that, and I appreciate that, Coach.
He was her biggest fan, so it was.
Yep.
It was awesome just to watch those two play.
She can play a little bit, my wife.
She can.
Yeah, she
Did he spend a lot of time basically telling you, listen, man, you better win this year? Was that a majority of the game?
That's a given. It's a given. Like I felt like he was going to bury me right there if I didn't say 17-0.
So right now I got no I'm burying nothing. You know one thing, though, I said this to you right at the top. I said, the pressure's on because you got, seriously, Coach, you got to win this year. I mean, there's no gray area.
And that's what I was trying to explain. That expectations here, what I've learned, whether you're an expansion team or not, it's 17-0 or you suck. And so that goes without saying. Expectations to win are always
13-4 would be okay.
I'm with you. I'll take that. but the big thing is that that's not where the pressure lies. The pressure lies in waking up every day trying to find a way to get better. That's how you get the result that we want and we expect.
It is amazing. I think it was last year you said something that I think at the time annoyed me, but then I realized, he's probably right, that you guys inherited almost an expansion team, that the talent was bare. And when you really think about what this roster looked like 3 years ago, it's depressing. Now you look at this roster, and it takes a lot for me and Joe to even say this, but, wow, this is a Super Bowl roster. Like, this roster is freaking loaded. Does that almost cause you sometimes to wake up and say, oh, my God, I can't believe I went from that to now getting to coach this?
And Joe and I talk about it all the time, and that was kind of the vision. Everywhere you go, it's – and I said it before, like it's no one's fault. Things happen for a reason, whether you get money constraints or whatever, and so a roster happens the way it happens. But the vision was to bring in our type of guys and guys who play the way we want football to be played. We talk about culture, so we wanted to bring in guys who can execute the culture that we envision. And we've got an unbelievable locker room full of guys who just want to find ways to get better, who play their absolute tails off. And it was part of the vision. Like, it's almost expected. Now, that happened, and it's like, well, now what? Well, let's get to the field and keep the main thing. Continue to find ways to get better, and we'll make plays and we'll win football games.
Dalvin Cook is here now, right? I guess he's going to be here next week. I remember you would ask me when we played golf, do I want Dalvin Cook? I said, of course. Why wouldn't I? I mean, the more the merrier.
And that's why you signed him.
Of course, it was me. The more the merrier. How about that? I mean, you got a pretty loaded running back room.
Yeah,
now.
it's dynamic. We to have, speaking from a defensive mindset, if I'm trying to game plan and I know that there's the possibility of Breece, Michael Carter, Dalvin Cook, two or three of those guys on the field at the same two of the three on the field at the same time. You got Bam sitting there, and you got Izzy, Dye, and Crockett trying to figure out what that back room that group's going to look like. But knowing that we can go two halfbacks along with that dynamic receiving group and tight end group, there's a lot of mismatches that can be created when you have dynamic people like that. And this is where I think Hackett and his staff where it's going to come to fruition and creativity and different personnel groupings. And but at the same time, it's to have the ability not only to do all that stuff, but knowing full well that you can also just dot the I and just run downhill. And we've got enough guys who can do that too.
Not that this should be a deterrent from signing him, but how did the running back room take the news that Dalvin Cook was coming, probably to take touches away from some guys?
Yeah, they're competitive, right? First off, they're very receptive and excited, but at the same time, it's like I remember when I played tight end at Northern, and our coach installed 10 personnel, which is no tight end on the field, and I'd be like, what? You take it personal. Like, why are you messing with me? It's not personal. It's an opportunity to add another really good football player to the room, and it doesn't change anyone's role. It doesn't change anything in all the different things that we talked about.
So Breece Hall was activated from the PUP list today, which is great, because I think one of my concerns last night when I heard the news was, is Breece healthy? Did he have a setback? It appears like he hasn't, but is he going to be constrained early, and is that a part of why you guys felt signing Cook made a lot of sense?
No, the signing of Dalvin had nothing to do with Breece. We still anticipate Breece being ready. feel like he's even ahead of schedule. We're pulling the reins to make sure we do him right and make sure that knee is 150%, not just 100%. But he looks awesome. He is strong. He's remade his body in the way Jermaine Johnson remade his body. He looks explosive, fast. Really excited to get him back on the field.
But does that mean that week 8, when Breece is 110%, because I look at him as running back number 1. I think Joe agrees with me on that too. That his explosiveness.
That's the Giant game, by the way, week 8.
You know what?
Just pointing it out.
That one.
You got to win that one, Coach.
Is he a Giants fan?
No. Trust me. No. I am not.
No,
this guy is over here.
No,
Come on,
Coach.
He's got the Giant tattoo.
Make someone want to puke.
Not me.
He suffers like me.
I'm just playing day ball. You know I love him.
He suffers like me. He's got the Jet and Met.
I'm just more concerned, like, will Breece Hall be the guy? You know what I mean? Like, 'cause Dalvin Cook's got a great resume. No doubt about it, and he was good last year. But is Breece Hall, when healthy, going to be running back number 1? Because he should be, based on what we saw last year before he got hurt.
I think it's got a good opportunity where we don't have to label one, right? I think they're all going to get their touches. There's 65, 70 plays in the game, and Aaron is an unbelievable quarterback. Obviously, he's going to be able to get guys the ball in different ways. And but if someone's rolling with the hot hand, we're rolling, And it's like rich people problems. I mean, shoot, it's how do you get the ball to all of them? But there is an aspect of, okay, who's rolling, and if someone's got the hot hand and someone might not have it, and those are all real. But at the same time, they're so good. It's so easy to get guys like them the ball because you don't just need to hand it to them. You can flick it to them on a screen. You can get them out in the pass game. And so because of it, getting them touches, I don't think will be that big of a problem.
Go ahead, sure.
No, Coach, last week the offensive line being unsettled seemed to be like an issue that Aaron even brought up in the media. How close are you guys to settling that 5 across? And is AVT an option at tackle this year?
We've been talking about it with the best 5, and if AVT being a tackle is one of them, then so be it. But at the same time, we're working through it. And I've said it before, as a coach, I would have wanted it done yesterday. That's not the case right now. We're still working through all the different things. Tippmann's making a surge, doing a really nice job over the last week and a half, and Makai's starting to get healthy, and he feels like he's turning the corner. So and then Dwayne's still got to come back. Right. So there's still a lot of different variables, We're going to keep pushing to find the best 5, and yes, would love for it to have happened yesterday, but it's not the case. We got we're rolling with the cards that we've been dealt, and we'll make the best of it.
Is it possible? He brings up a good point about AVT at right tackle. Tippmann's the center, McGovern's playing guard. Is there any possibility of that kind of scenario? Can that happen?
I won't throw any scenario out the window. It's not, but McGovern's a pretty darn good center too. So he's. I don't know. Maybe
he plays too. He plays every game.
When do you think you will know?
God, I wish I had an answer for you. There's so many. The good thing is there's a lot of good things happening that's extending this. It's not like sorry guys, but it's it's
you're
not
allowed
like,
to say it. We can't say that.
Just saw everyone look over there. But it's not like we're looking at a situation where God, this is clearly our best 5. There's 8 guys right now who are battling for 5 spots, 9 guys even if you include the centers, and so there's a lot of guys competing to be that, and I think that's why I've never really been nervous about our O-line, because we're going to end up with 5 pretty damn good football players.
Is AVT healthy right now?
He is. He's dealing with a little bit of an ankle. He'll get back on the field soon. It's day-to-day and more precautionary than anything.
When you were sitting there having lunch or dinner, I guess it was, with Derek Carr back at the beginning of the offseason, did you know in that moment, I like you, Derek, my first choice is Aaron Rodgers? I
don't think Aaron was a possibility then. I love Derek Carr. I think the world of him. I think New Orleans is going to have a hell of a year with him. I'm very vocal on what I think about him and his ability to play football. And at the time, I don't think Aaron was in my mind, because it was every year, and I've said it before. It wasn't until Green Bay actually engaged with Joe where it was like, they'll really trade him, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
Now, you know about this defense now, and I've talked to you about this. Got to start taking the ball away, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last 8 games of the year, you got 2 freaking turnovers, okay? That was it.
I know.
Yeah, you guys have got – I got to see, like, a short field, like, oh, well, we recovered a fumble on the 15-yard line. The preseason so far, you're taking the ball away.
So far, got a couple, pressure burst pipes. And,
yep.
If we can get people to throw the football a little bit more, our D-line, let our D-line go eat, I think – we're all very well aware of how good our D-line can be, and it's made to rush a passer, not sit there and take on double teams to defend the run, even though they can still do it. And I think if we can create some leads, the ball will start coming out.
Coach, we're eating up Hard Knocks as New Yorkers, but if there was one criticism anybody had from the first episode, it was Aaron came across as like the alpha leader of the team. How would you respond to any critics of that maybe?
By the way, you know who the critic is?
It was me.
Him.
It was me. I'm not going to lie. He came across like he felt like he was either the coach of the team or another coach on the team.
No, that's fair. It's I'll say this with Aaron, and I'll say this with myself too. I've said it a million times. The best coach teams in the world are the teams that coach themselves. It's where the locker room can take care of itself, and I can focus on just football. I will go to Aaron and say, hey, Aaron, can you go put your arm around somebody? Can you? And he wants to do it. I look at him, and the best way I can explain it is he's 39 years old. He and I came in the league at the same year. He was drafted. I was an intern for the Houston Texans. And his knowledge of football, his knowledge of people, and just being around a football building and all the highs and lows that come with it, anyone who doesn't think that he has a wealth of knowledge is crazy. And so it's almost like, why I'll go talk to my linebackers coach who's 39 or 38 or whatever, or my D-line coach or who's younger than him to, hey, I need to, give me some advice. Why wouldn't I go to Aaron? Right. It's like he's like the last of the player coaches, and so he's got a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information to give, and so if I can lean on him, absolutely I'm going to lean on him.
But because of the age and you guys coming in the league together and his Hall of Fame resume, will that ever make it difficult to yell at him, to rip him, to kind of hold him to a similar standard that maybe you would have for other players?
So there's and the way I operate is you can hold people accountable and in high regard at the same time. And it's not about demeaning people and disrespecting people. We're all men. We're all on the same page. We're all trying to accomplish one goal. Let's talk through what the issues are so we can move on and get to the next page. And I think the perception of I coach, you play, shut the F up, know your role, I think it's archaic. We're a team. And it's not a coaches and players division. We're all in this together because at the end of the day, if we don't win, we all get fired. They just say you get cut, we get fired. That's just the way it is. So we're better off doing this together than trying to fight and do it alone. And so, agree, disagree with the philosophy, but at the same time, I think there's still an accountability aspect that needs to be had, and I think we do a really good job of it. We're coaches holding coaches accountable, coaches holding players, and players holding coaches, and players holding players accountable. And knowing that we can all talk about things openly is more beneficial to progress than anything else.
I got it, and people ask me all the time, okay, what do you think of the coach? And I say, especially after we play golf, I said, this is the nicest guy in the world. You are. You're an absolute sweetheart. Okay?
I have my moments, Joe.
Well, I hope you do, because that's my biggest concern with you. I got to tell you, seriously, Coach, that you're too nice, and that you guys are just talking about the accountability and all this stuff. I mean, I hope you're kicking some. If C.J. Mosley jumps offside again and basically cost you a game when everybody knows that they're not going to run a play like in Buffalo last year, that you're going to be all over the guy.
No, and that's why I look at it. Like, do you think C.J. did it on purpose?
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, everybody, here's all I can say. Even my wife knew they weren't running that play. Okay? You know what I mean, Coach?
No.
All right, I mean, really.
But when you put that helmet, like I always try to put myself in and have empathy for the player in the sense of, all right, obviously he's not being a selfish. He made a mistake. Now, there are times where you can sense selfishness and people playing outside the framework of what we're trying to accomplish. All right, we're going to intervene there. Now we're going to have a hard talk on that one. But I will never look at a guy like CJ, who is just the epitome of a pro and does everything right and watches more film where he made a mistake. Like,
there's nothing. It twice now. But.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not like I'm gonna.
This isn't Hard Knocks, Coach.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm only part-time.
But I just think those moments are ridiculous, and I think more often than not a coach can lose a player
Right.
When you're going off for stuff like it's a pick and choose your battles where you have to understand where the player is in those moments and just know how to handle them in those and every moment is different. But yeah, you're right. There are times where we got to get after it. But the one thing I do not do it in public. It's
right
when we get to our team rooms in the sanctuary of our own team where we can tell the truth. That's where all our hard conversations are had. But I just have a philosophy not to show up our players in public.
When you look back at last year, where do you criticize yourself the most? Where do you say, okay, I screwed this up. I can't have that happen again?
If I was going to look at one thing, I always go back to the Detroit game, at the end of the situation, in the game there, just overthinking the timeouts. That was my the big kick in the butt for me. And there's always going to be things you can improve on. Felt like our process in terms of how we handle clock and situations and all that stuff. But that one moment is the one that I keep going back to, and just how do I make sure that doesn't happen again. And so far so good. And during the preseason, we've had a couple of good thought our end of half situation against Carolina was perfect. They ran it.
Just think if you
really
the defense would have stopped the Lions on the fourth down, you wouldn't have to
over.
worry about the
Wouldn't have to worry about
timeouts.
it.
We wouldn't have been having this discussion.
What are you going to do?
The burning question everybody wants to know: what book did you read to get the Crow and the Eagles saying? That's
you know
viral?
what?
That was definitely
that was
TikTok,
good.
right,
Is
Coach?
that really true? No, seriously, the Crows, they just die when they get up there?
You know when you're laying there, you can't sleep, and it's like 10 o'clock, and you're just scrolling through videos.
TikTok.
It popped up, and I was like,
It was TikTok,
"Damn,
wasn't it?"
This is great. And I'm a big storyteller. I always mess with the guys, and I always tell them that never let the truth get in the way of good stories. So it's
So it doesn't even matter if it's true.
It's pretty good.
oh
though.
God, no!
Yeah.
Half my stories are fake.
Because just so you know, the
Don't say
vulture
that.
and the owl can both take down the Eagles.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
I'm sure they can, but it didn't fit the narrative at the time, man.
Did you guys sit there as a team or maybe by yourself and watch Hard Knocks, or are you paying attention to it?
No, it's I might buzz through just to make sure that we're not giving up any scheme stuff. But Hard Knocks has been phenomenal. They've been great.
But you're not watching it. You don't care enough to watch it?
No, my family, my wife lets me know how it was and if how.
What'd
things
she
went.
say? What'd she think about that speech, the TikTok speech, as I like to call it?
She thinks everything I do is good.
Oh, that's very sweet.
I'm just kidding. I know she did.
So opening night, you play Buffalo.
Yep.
Okay, all this hoopla, all this stuff going on. Rodgers is here. Now you got Dalvin Cook, and everybody's pumped up. Super Bowl, this and that. Can't lose to the Bills on Monday. No, you cannot lose that game.
For the record, Joe has said we can't lose week 1 through 7. Every game. Every game.
No, wait a minute.
The Cow-
If you guys are 4-2 going into the bye week, I'm okay with it. I'm good. I'll be ticked if you lose to the Eagles and you're 4-2 after being 4-1. But still, I'm okay with that.
No, the goal is, like I said, the expectation is we do want to win them all, but you can't win them all unless you focus on the moment. And I know it's cliche and it's cheesy, but it's real. You got to. That's why I say that the pressure isn't on winning. The pressure is on performing every single day to find a way to get better. That's the only chance you have to win, and so that's where our focus is, and that's where it's got to stay.
If the football gods look down on everything fondly, and there is a championship to celebrate, please have Joe on the float with you. Okay? Can you?
I don't need to be on the float.
You don't want to be there.
No. But I tell you what I will do to Coach. We'll get together for a – I told you, I haven't had a drink, and we won't get into – we had this discussion. We don't get into the drink that we may have because that's another story, unrelated to football. But if we finally win, this team, after 55 freaking years, wins the Super Bowl, you have to let me take you out for a drink. Okay?
I might drink with you. I don't drink.
Well, I haven't had a drink since his wedding. He's been married a long time now. He's got 2 kids already.
That's awesome.
So because I got a bad stomach, but probably a lot of it's because I'm a Jet and a Met fan, but that's okay.
That's awesome.
But we got to do that. We have to do
No,
that.
for sure.
All right.
And just so you know, Coach, my oldest son's name, Jet. So make him proud, all right?
There you go.
I love it.
Thank
I
you,
love
Coach.
it.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you guys.
Great, man.
Appreciate
Great
you guys.
seeing you, man.
Thank
Coach
you guys.
Robert
Thank you
Saleh.
so much.